First deck up is Phantom Knights, Horus, Adventure, Kitchen Sink deck, tier 1.5. Great deck. It's the better version of Tearlaments essentially right now after tier got hit. And while we're talking about tier, I'll put it there too. They're basically really similar. They both play out of the grave like crazy. They have the same disadvantages and the same advantages. Very similar. I think PK is slightly better in this moment of being that type of graveyard deck. Generaider. It's done somewhat decent this last format. For this next format, I don't see it doing that crazy. Runick will definitely be accounted for. Definitely lowering the power level of this deck. I think Rogue is fine. It's going to have some surprise wins. But, well, maybe not wins. That's my baby in the bag. It's going to have some surprise tops. Okay, we'll calm that down now. It's going to have some surprise tops, but not, I don't see it winning even a remote regional again. Marincess also, a lot of really non-engine space, meaning it will be tiered in some capacity here, like being Rogue. I guess Rogue isn't really a tier, but it's going to be here on the competitive spectrum on the lower end, just because it can main deck so many hand traps and board breakers in its main deck. Drytron. It feels like it should be at the top of Rogue or the bottom of tier 2. Maybe even middle of tier 2. It does some unfair stuff. The key to being a tiered deck is you have to have some unfair thing that you do. Either you have unbelievable resiliency, unbelievable end boards, unbelievable unfairness. Drytron does have that unfair aspect where it can just lock out, you know, your turn with Magician of Black Chaos Max or with the Morphage, whatever guy, the Morphage dude. Now we get to the best deck of the format, Branded. It is absolutely tier 1. Actually, we should redo this. It's up here, right? Tier 0. Tier 0. The best deck. Let's go. Best deck tier 0 Branded, baby. No doubt. Branded, best deck. If any of you disagree, put it in the comments, but I won't read them. We got mathmech. I don't know enough about this deck. I know it was nutty. Had a crazy good win percentage on yugioh scope. Pre-circular being limited. Then after that it fell off the face of the earth, and now that the best card in the deck is banned, I think the deck is dead. Trap Tricks. It feels like a solid rogue option. It was doing really well in the regional scene last format, this format beforehand, but now it just feels like it's way too power crept. Labrynth, one of the best decks in the game. I feel ashamed putting it next to Branded being tier 0, but since I don't have a tier 0 slot right here, I guess I'll just have to put it as one of the top decks after Branded. Branded, obviously tier 0. Labrynth, it's whatever. You got Vanquish Soul, probably tier 2. Honestly, I'd want to put it in Rogue after the hit to There Can Be Only One, but we'll put it in tier 2 because just to be safe, Vanquish Soul is a solidly powerful deck. It feels like it was a There Can Be Only One deck, right? And so now that it lost that, is its time to shine over? Then we got Sprite. Sprite got starter back to 3, right? So the deck is, right, other than having Elf banned, I think is it at pretty much full power, has every option that it had. It feels like it's bottom end of tier 1.5, maybe top of tier 2. It's very good. There's going to be some variant that breaks out. So, Runick, right? Runick just did really well. It has a great Labrynth matchup, and I think the Labrynth matchup is key enough for it to be at 1.5, especially because Bestials are so powerful. It basically can dunk on both of these decks with the Bestials, and with the Runick just grind forever. We get to Chimera. Chimera is a butt deck. You should not play it. Play the tier 0 Branded Despia build. The Chimera deck is just a joke. I don't know why people even run that stuff. You use the greatest card in the game, Branded Fusion. Yes, that's a card. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. That's my daughter. She's coming in here. Won't let me do this tier list in peace. All right, to continue on. Charles Turbo. I think it's firmly in the Rogue category. Maybe at the top of Rogue. It seems that it still does very unfair stuff. It just seems like it lost consistency because a Link 2 or a Link 1 for any deck is basically insanity. It losing its powerful Link ability to basically turn any 2 warriors into the best Noble Knight card in the game. It's a huge loss for the deck, and I think generally the deck, it's not tiered anymore. It's here at the bottom of the competitive end, but I believe it still will see some success randomly. kind of how like Virtual World sees success in the current game. Dragon Link. I think this deck is firmly at the bottom of tier 1.5. I think when a really good player gets their hands on it, they can perform very well. The Bestials seem very, very strong. You know what? I'm going to actually put it above these two, because these two just feels like hard loose to Dragon Link. And it obviously has a really good matchup against the tier 0 deck, Branded, because of the Bestials. But still, it doesn't matter because Branded is tier 0. Next, we have Fire King. Fire King has done very well this early in the format, being just a structure deck that just released. For $30, you pick it up, and with minimal investment, you can make it pretty good. Not even counting the Wanted engine. Obviously, the Wanted engine is nice, but it's really not that necessary. The deck shouldn't really rely on its extra deck currently until Phantom Nightmare and until Bonfire comes out and Populous. So I think Fire King currently is right here at the bottom of 1.5. It performed very well. It was very well represented in the last YCS. In the top 64, it had just as many as Centur-ion. So there you go. For the price of one Trudea, you can have a deck that competes, that performs just as well as Centur-ions do. And then we got Flunder. Flunder is Flunder. Flunder's always been the same. It hasn't changed. It lost barrier statue, so it went from top tiers to solidly tier 2. I think it has very good advantages over a lot of the decks. It has Shifter. Shifter keeps it here. If it didn't have Shifter, it'd probably be Rogue. Then we got Purrely. Purrely, with this little tiny hit, almost non-existent hit, I think realistically it more falls off because of, I'll put it at the top of tier 1.5. It falls off because I believe people will just slowly get tired of using it. I just don't think people want to play this deck. Its playstyle is it's garbage. Like, it's straight up garbage. It is the worst playstyle in the game. It does absolutely nothing. It feels like it's playing with itself. The interactions you can't even interact with them because they're unaffected, right? Unless you just, Mirror Jade them, because it's not an activated effect. It's a lingering resolved effect in the end phase. Bye-bye Noir. Suck it. Tier 0 Branded, baby. Kashtira. Kashtira has been very powerful. It feels very close to Flunder, right? Let's say, is it better than Flunder or worse? I would say it's a slightly worse Flunder Shifter deck. So we'll put it right there. Centur-ion's performed very well. It's a one-trick pony. Very easy to stop once you know the interactions and where to hand trap it. So Centur-ion definitely feels like a solid tier 1.5 deck that, let's put it up here. It feels better than Dragon Link or any of these other decks right here. Mannadium. Mannadium is nice. Probably second best deck. I don't want to jump the horse, right? It wasn't hit at all, right? And it's the most broken combo deck of the format. I know Infernoble had the advantage of looking at your hand. Now where Infernoble's at, that's kind of done. Vicious Astrolaud, Turbo, or otherwise known as Mannadium, I think it's a top 3 deck of the format. After Branded, you got Lab, you got Astrolaud Turbo, and you got Rescue Ace, I think. Don't want to harp on Rescue Ace too much. It wasn't really hit. Airlifter to 1 doesn't affect it that much. They still have Emergency in 3. They have Hydrant at 3. They have the Bellstar engine. Pay $500. Rescue Ace is just fine. Machina, Citadel, Turbo, Earth Machine deck. I think it's at the top of butt category. I'd put Chimera at the top of butt category. Machina, it randomly tops once in a while at regionals. So you have to kind of address it. You have to know that it exists, but it's really not that good. Mikanko, currently it lost its win condition going first. I believe without Isolde, it's very hard for them to turbo out the Acid Golem of Destruction. But I'm not 100% sure about that. So I'm going to put them at the top of Rogue, because the deck has a lot of tools that are very, very powerful, and it has insane go in second strategy. So if you can figure out a going first play, and if Acid Golem's still viable, the deck actually could be tiered. But right now we'll put it in Rogue. Swordsoul. Swordsoul is really nice. I think like a lot of these decks here in the tier 1.5 and lower, if you have the right pilot, this deck can perform as good as a tier 1 deck. Obviously it can't perform as well as Branded, because Branded is tier 0, but it can perform as well as a Labrynth deck, Mannadium, Rescue Ace. Rescue Ace especially. Rescue Ace, that mid-range deck of the top performers. Swordsoul, if you have a good pilot, the deck is nice. I'd put this right here at the top of tier 2. I think the deck is really strong. Like I said, good pilot. It's got good going second strategy. Run Swordsoul, man. More people should run Swordsoul. The deck is awesome. Rika, I heard it lost its like 1-card combo. So now people are thinking it's going to fall off. It already wasn't doing much other than Europe, so we'll put it in Rogue solidly. It feels like it was hit to the same extent as Infernoble, but Charles is way better artwork than Queen, so we're gonna put her right underneath. Tri Brigade. This is like pure Fire King, whichever the best variant is. It's like Sprite. It's pretty generic. I think this deck is also solid in Rogue. It feels pretty much Marincess level of power. Dinos in the right hands can do very well. I think they're bottom of tier 2. And last and very not least, one of the coolest and greatest decks to ever be designed by Konami, and also to be rudely, disgustingly discarded and destroyed for no reason. Sharvara did nothing wrong. This game with one Sharvara is trash, but we still have Branded, so it's not trash. But it could be so much better. Think about it. In one format, we had full power Branded and full power. Well, I guess we didn't have Expulsion, but you don't need Expulsion. You have Dragon. And we had full power Sharvara Unchained. Tier 0, let's go! No, it's not tier 0. I'd say Unchained is solidly entrenched right here. About right here. Middle of tier 2 feels perfect for Unchained. The Sharvara hit was significant. Now you're just a sitting duck. You play your cards, and it's very hard to, not get blown out by talents and other garbage control cards. That's it. If you guys enjoyed this video, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to bring more and more content. I'm ramping it up, putting in obviously work to make this as quality as I can, and come along with me on this journey. If you like this video, give me a like. It helps me get this stuff to other people on YouTube. And if you have any comments on why some of these decks should be higher, lower, please write them down below so I can read them. Unless your comment is about putting Branded lower. Branded's tier 0, I will not read those. I will dislike them and possibly delete them from the channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.